Good morning to everyone, whether you're joining us from the U.S. or Colombia. I'm Neil Harrington, Senior Vice President for the Americas, and we're very excited to welcome all of you to the launch of an initiative we believe can help take the bilateral Colombia-U.S. investment relationship to the next level. Colombia's new Colombia-U.S. investment roadmap report. Our apologies that we're a little late getting started. Such is the nature of our technical events these days, as everyone knows, so we appreciate your patience. I first really want to appreciate the U.S. Colombia Business Council team, Cesar Vence and Megan Bridges, for their work in executing this event and for helping highlight the report's findings in both countries. We're also really fortunate to have the best of partners in AmCham Colombia. Samira's joining us today, and Andy and Paula is also with us today to be able to collaborate on such an important new initiative. The effort has long been a priority, in particular of AmCham, so we are especially pleased that the investment roadmap is yet another example of what can be accomplished working together as public-private sectors. That's why we're also deeply appreciative to our great friend Flavia Santoro, president of ProColombia, and her great team, who have for years been tireless partners to us in the private sector in helping unlock critical trade and investment opportunities in Colombia. And speaking of tireless, we in the U.S. depend greatly on the talent and commitment of Embajador Pinzón and his great team, so our sincere appreciation to them. Last but certainly not least, we thank our U.S. CBC member companies who make programming like this possible, and our leadership, Bruce McMaster of Andy, and our co-chairs Mauricio Ramos of Millicom and Cesar Caicedo Colombina. I'm particularly pleased that we'll have the opportunity to hear from U.S. CBC board member Isaiah Thomas today. Isaiah, as many of you know, is CEO of Isaiah International, a company that exemplifies the strong commitment of the U.S. private sector to Colombia, especially with the company's focus on investment and job creation in an underdeveloped region of Colombia in strong need of both. We'll hear today about all the ways in which the investment roadmap report can serve as a comprehensive guide for strategic trade and investment opportunities for both the U.S. and Colombia, both U.S. and Colombian companies. That in and of itself is great, but I think the report stands for even more. For us at the Council, it's a critical tool to support the core mission and objectives we pursue every day when it comes to increasing bilateral trade and investment by further leveraging our bilateral FTA and fostering an enabling environment for business in both countries. And when it comes to the Colombian government, this is just the latest example of a Duque administration that is intent on finishing its term in the strongest possible fashion and partnering closely with the private sector in doing so. Those of you who joined us last week for the Council's first annual Colombia Economic Outlook know that there is a lot in Colombia to be encouraged about. The country's economy exceeded the projections of pretty much any forecaster in 2021 by a product of two in many cases, to register double-digit record growth. We believe an important factor in this outcome was the collaboration seen between the government and the business community on pro-growth policy, such as the Reforma Tributaria, the tax reform. And the Council was pleased to host Minister Restrepo and Ambassador Pinzón just last week, actually 2 weeks ago, to discuss what else we can do together to advance our bilateral trade and investment partnership in the coming months. Ambassador Pinzón is also advancing a commemoration of the landmark 200-year anniversary of our bilateral diplomatic ties, an effort the Council is very proud to be supporting and which will culminate in a series of important events in early June. The launch of today's investment roadmap is, again, just the latest in all of these really important steps to strengthen both Colombia and our bilateral relationship. So we commend President Santoro, Ambassador Pinzón, and the other members of the government, because I think we all agree this effort couldn't come in a more important time, given private and public sectors alike hope for the strongest Colombia possible heading into such a consequential election year. With that, I'm really pleased to be able to ceder la palabra, turn the word over to a man who needs no introduction. Ambassador Pinzón helped us found the U.S. CBC, as many of you know, and we are so fortunate to be able to depend on him as the consummate partner and ally in the U.S. Señor Embajador, la palabra es suya.
I really want to thank you, Neil, for the opportunity and the whole U.S. Colombia Business Council. We're very thankful for your efforts, for your commitment, and for allowing us, and especially our promotion agency, ProColombia, to launch this Colombia-U.S. investment roadmap. I think it's going to be a very important report, as you will describe, and I think comes very timely in a time in which precisely we are celebrating these 200 years of relationship. I want to praise Flavia Santoro, our chairman for ProColombia, and the whole team of ProColombia. They are the best team we have, presenting our country every day to investors, to trading partners, and to different interests that want to visit Colombia. They really focus on trade, investment, and exports of our beauties, our lands, and our territories, tourism. So we really do care for what they do, and I think that's extremely important too. I think the 200 years celebration is a very special opportunity not to launch, relaunch, or start all over again. On the contrary, to embrace the things that we have done very well together. Colombia and the United States have been together almost on every major important event worldwide in the past 200 years. It was very significant to the creation of Colombia the fact that the United States recognized Colombia. It was very significant that 200 years ago, the first ever diplomat from Latin America in the United States was a representative of Colombia. It was very significant that we were together on the same side during World War II, during the Korean War, during the Cold War, during the war against terrorism, and during the wars against those who have uh, threatened Colombians and our stability, our institutions, and the human rights of our citizens. All the time we have been on the same side. But at the same time, we have been together for other important issues: the creation of the UN, the creation of the OAS, the creation of the Bretton Woods institutions, and the creations of many other major multilateral institutions in which Colombia and the United States have been always part. But the fact that I admire the most about our relationship is people. As more as we explore and we understand the relationship between Colombia and the United States, we found scientists, we found business people, we found people from arts and culture, people from the TV shows, people from the movies, people from every layer, from technology, from the medical sector, from any subject you want to think of. There's a Colombian or an American working together or playing a role, even on major US institutions of different levels and on every state. And that's something that we are proud to tell. And this is the story we really want to build upon. Now, when this is brought into economics, trade, and investment, Colombia sees the United States as what it is: our first trading partner, our first investment partner, and our first partner for tourism. There you are second to none. And that's something that we really value and we care. And we care for the US as a main partner and as a main client. And we will keep working in a way that we take the opportunities that allows us to expand. Because at the end, why and what do we care? We care to reduce poverty in Colombia. We care to create equality. We care to create opportunities. We care to promote a better future for our nation. And we see the United States partnership as a keystone for that purpose. And that's why I think the United States continues to be this so close country to the majority of Colombians, according to any poll. Finally, I think the closure of the President Duque administration is very relevant. Almost every day there are events to present new infrastructures or to present new policies that are being crafted or specific results on different areas of public policy. Today, the presentation of this investment roadmap is extremely important as a report and shows the way for what should be done in the years to come in this strong relationship. I'm very happy to see, as you will describe, Neil, that Colombian economy grew and, frankly speaking, overperformed most of the economies in the world in the year 2021 at 10.6%. I'm very happy to see how vaccination has allowed Colombia to come back to economic activity. According to the economists, uh, uh, indexes and Bloomberg indexes, Colombia has proved a lot of resilience to the pandemic, and at the same time, a very good response in terms of recovering the economic activity ahead of others. And not to forget the climate change agenda, in which Colombia has set very strong targets ahead of our own responsibility, but with the commitment of really being leaders and world players onto that front. And about energy transition, Colombia has really moved faster than many others, moving our non-renewable, non-traditional renewable energy options from solar and wind power from 0.5% just 3 years ago in the matrix to almost 14% today and growing. That's the kind of concept and commitment Colombia has. And not to forget, when democracies are at risk, Colombia has been fighting for its own democracy, its own freedom, and combating those who oppose democracy and who oppose to freedom rights of our people. And because of that, in times of crisis, as the world is living right now, Colombia continues to be a strong and credible worldwide partner on the idea of defending rights and protecting democracy. This is what I have to say, and I'm sure that the presentation of Flavia is going to be extraordinary. So again, I want to thank the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, the U.S. Colombia Business Council, and definitely ProColombia and all their team for the wonderful work they do, and especially for presenting this roadmap that will certainly bring opportunities and jobs to our countries and keep strengthening our ties and our relationship. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ambassador Pinzon, for offering your message and, more importantly, for the work that you and your team at the embassy, in partnership with ProColombia, do to continue to strengthen the commercial bilateral relationship between the U.S. and Colombia. As you pointed out today, the relationship between the two countries is one that touches on many important aspects of our lives, including law enforcement and security, promotion of democratic values, education and culture, and of course, investment and trade, which is what we're here to talk about today. Colombia is an important trade and investment partner to the U.S. As you mentioned, the U.S. is Colombia's largest trade and investment partner, and Colombia is the U.S. third largest trading partner in Latin America. We are about to celebrate the 10-year anniversary of the U.S.-Colombia Trade Promotion Agreement, as it was alluded to earlier, an agreement that has supported economic growth and employment opportunities for both countries. And what better person to talk about this important commercial bilateral relationship and investment opportunities in Colombia than Flavia Santoro Trujillo, president of ProColombia, Colombia's trade promotion agency. Flavia, thank you for joining us today for the launch of the Colombia-U.S. investment roadmap. The U.S. Colombia Business Council and the U.S. Chamber are delighted to have a partner with ProColombia and AmCham Colombia to be able to execute on these projects. So Flavia, welcome again, and the floor is yours.
Sir, and it's always a pleasure to see you and to see Neil. And I would like to begin by thanking our ambassador to the United States, Juan Carlos Pinzon. Thank you for your generosity. Thank you for your example, Ambassador. Thank you for the great teamwork that we do with your team. And thank you for being a great ally. And I also would like to thank the CEO at Millicom and Share at U.S. Colombian Business Council, Mauricio Ramos, and the Senior Vice President for the Americas at the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, Neil Harrington. Hope to see you soon in Colombia. The Executive Vice President at Andy, great ally to Paola Buendia, and the Director of the New Business Development at AmCham, Samira Al-Khatib. And special greetings, of course, to the representatives of Honeywell and Noel that are gathered at this event, and to all the business leaders that have joined us today. I would like to give you a good morning again, and thank you very much for inviting me to participate in this event. I would like to start saying that throughout our history, United States has become Colombia's main business partner. It is the leading investor in our country. It is the leading buyer of our goods and services. And when it comes to the attraction of international travelers into our territory, it ranks first in terms of inbound tourism. On the other hand, I would like to mention that Colombia has consolidated itself as U.S. main ally in Latin America, as both countries share principles and values that are based on governance, democracy, institutional solidity, sustainability, among others. Currently, this profitable win-to-win relationship is more important than ever, as this year we celebrate 200 years of bilateral relations, 10 years of the trade promotion agreement between Colombia and the United States, and 30 years of ProColombia. So I would like to share with you this morning some numbers. In 2021, Colombian exports to the United States reached over $5.2 billion, 25% more than in 2020 and 22% more than in 2019 before the pandemic. And regarding foreign direct investment, according to Colombia's central bank, between January and September 2021, American investment in Colombia reached over $1.3 billion. That is 22% more as compared to the same period of 2020. Of course, we are always seeking to bring our numbers to a new level and to consolidate the legacy of President Duque's administration. Having said that, we certainly believe that this investment roadmap is a very useful tool, and we hope you see it that way too. And to do so, as it has valuable information for American companies interested in investing in Colombia. Let me walk you, if you allow me, through the investment roadmap and highlight some key points included in the document. As you may already know, Colombia stands out as a strategic regional hub. Our location in the heart of the Americas gives companies logistical advantages to supply the region from the Atlantic to the Pacific. Therefore, in Chapter 2, you may be able to find some of the sectors that offer the most appealing opportunities to invest in Colombia. Let me mention them: agricultural products and food production, which include processed food, fresh fruits and vegetables, and cocoa. Healthcare services and life sciences, including production and distribution for the pharmaceutical sector, as well as containers and packaging of glass. Information technology and creative industries. Remember the economy, the orange economy from President Duque, including BPO and software and IT services. Manufacturing industries, which include also construction materials, electrical devices, and real estate. Energy, this includes solar, wind, and other technologies. And of course, infrastructure, including transports, social and infrastructure, and hotel and tourism infrastructure. Let me move to Chapter 3, and in Chapter 3, you can identify the main competitive advantages that make Colombia a strategic partner to strengthen the U.S. supply chain. And as a matter of fact, as American companies consolidating and diversify their regional supply chains, Colombia will continue to be an ideal friendshoring location. There is a wide range of reasons to support this statement. Colombia has 17 commercial agreements that enable us to reach over America's 1.5 billion consumers. Only in the Americas, Colombia has preferential access to 97% of the countries. But on the other hand, we are aware that the U.S. needs to enhance its supply chains in both pharmaceutical and semiconductor sectors. So regarding the pharmaceutical sector, as you can read in page 58, Colombia has the potential to participate in the diversification of the U.S. drug supply by taking advantage of the tariff benefits it has with most of the scarce products in the United States. And if we talk about semiconductor sectors, let me share with you a paragraph that is included on page 61 of the document. And it says, Colombia can be a destination for foreign direct investment in intensive labor activities like design, assembly, packaging, and testing to diversify the value chain by supporting U.S. interests. Furthermore, if we go to Chapter 4, you will find features of the investment climate in Colombia and some of the tools we have developed to facilitate the investment process in our country. First, in Colombia, we strongly believe that major social transformations must go hand in hand with the development and growth of the private initiatives and the attraction of foreign capital to our country. But the stability of our democracy and solidity of our institutions, the rule of law that guarantees our citizens' rights, and the responsible management of public finances that characterize our country, along with the brave spirit of Colombians, allow us to look towards the future with hope and with optimism. And in this chapter, you may be able to learn as well about recent investment climate improvements, including our progress in the one-stop shop unique investment window that is a single contact channel for diverse types of institutional offerings. So let me name some others. We offer a strategic support for investors at all stages in the investment cycle through a very thoughtfully crafted strategy developed alongside the government that is named the Red Carpet. Second, Investors Ombudsman. It is a mechanism through which the government offers the investor a personalized and staggering attention service for the solution of their challenges within the framework of their interaction with public authorities or government agency. There's also the third one that I will mention is the CFI committee. And this committee is a platform where investors call the attention of the Colombian government to overcome some barriers that they can face in the establishment or operations of their investments in our country. And I would like to move to Chapter 5. Chapter 5, you can find some success stories. I would like to highlight only two of them, as later we will hear the testimonials of Noel and Honeywell. So I would like to begin sharing you with Isaiah International, that is a holding company founded in 1990 with interest in a diverse portfolio of companies. Among these is One World Pharma. And One World Pharma offers a reliable and sustainable supply chain for chemical formulators, but also for food and beverages producers, as well as for beauty product manufacturers worldwide. And the company, they maintains corporate offices in Las Vegas, but also in Bogota and facilities in Popayán in Colombia. So they have decided to invest in our country due to our position as a significant supplier of hemp-derived ingredients, the ideal agricultural climate, the supportive legislation, and also because of the ability to grow cannabis and substantially reduce costs that are compared to competing countries. But another success story that I would like to share that stands out, it's General Electric. This American multinational conglomerate investment that you know very well has been present in our country since 1927. Today, General Electric works with customers in both the public and the private sectors, and they work to implement different projects related to healthcare, related to aviation, and power generation from renewable and gas sources. But among the most relevant recent projects is the construction of the Ituango hydroelectric mega project, one of the largest in Latin America. But in addition, General Electric technology is also present in the Termoyopal power plant, which is already in operation and generates 150 megawatts of electricity for the country. So, sharing these stories, I would like to finish leaving you with a final message. We want to keep raising awareness about Colombia's potential as a top investment destination in the Americas. So we will keep you posted on our next activities and webinars that we are going to be developing, deploying in the market, so you can engage in these types of events, such as the Colombia Inside Out. At ProColombia, we always and we will continue supporting this strong relationship between the United States and Colombia. We are always and we be looking forward to strengthening our commercial ties and to show you the reasons that make Colombia the most welcoming place on earth for American investments. Thank you for your time and thank you for this space. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Flavia. Great presentation as always, and more importantly, thank you for the partnership. We at the Chamber and the U.S. Colombia Business Council value the important partnership with ProColombia and look forward to continue working with you to support Colombia in attracting private sector investment and increasing two-way trade, including Colombia's non-traditional exports and addressing technical barriers to trade. For our audience, I mean, if you're not excited about this, if you're not investing in Colombia after hearing this, I think you really should be thinking about where are the opportunities. And we're actually, I'm sorry, we are going to drop the link to the investment roadmap report that Flavia just talked about on the chat. So, with that being said, it is now my distinct pleasure to introduce two key partners and two entities that play an integral role in the economic bilateral relationship between the U.S. and Colombia. Two entities that, as Neil mentioned at the beginning, are great partners of the Chamber and the U.S. Colombia Business Council. You will now hear from Paula Buendia, Executive Vice President at the National Business Association of Colombia, better known as ANDI, and Samira Alkabid, Director of New Business Development at AmCham Colombia. Good morning, Paula and Samira. Thank you for joining us today. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Cesar. Thank you, Cesar. Yeah. Thank you, Cesar. I would like to say hi to the Ambassador Juan Carlos Pinzon. As Neil mentioned, he was the creator of the U.S. Colombia Business Council. Flavia Santoro, President of ProColombia, a great partner in promoting this bilateral relation. Samira Al-Khatib from AmCham, and everyone that is together here with us in this important event. To Neil, last week we had the opportunity to present the Colombian economic perspectives, where our president Bruce McMaster presented what we are seeing, and how are we, specifically about the Colombian economy with other partners from Morgan Stanley and Cesar Caicedo, our president of the Colombian chapter, presenting this perspective of what we're seeing for the economy. Specifically, I think Flavia just mentioned all that is included in this investment roadmap, that we believe it's a great tool, as the ambassador mentioned, for all the companies that are thinking about investing, the ones that are already located, because I believe that this roadmap also offers new opportunities for the ones that are here, but also for new investors that want to be part of Colombia's opportunities. The National Business Association, for more than 78 years, has been representing the voice of the Colombian private sector, looking forward to expanding and promoting the economic, social, and political principles within a free enterprise system based upon beliefs that include human dignity, political democracy, social justice, private property, and liberty. Through all this time, we have been fostering a constructive dialogue with the national and the local governments, as well as with international institutions, in order to work towards economic, legal, social, environmental, and business subjects, and generate innovative initiatives able to strengthen the country's competitiveness and boost development, together with better conditions for all. In this regard, ANDI works hand in hand with the legislative and executive branches, taking part in the construction of public policies and regulation. ANDI fosters initiatives to grow formal employment and reduce smuggling, improve legal certainty, close human talent gaps, promote innovation and entrepreneurship. Today, I would like to share some of the initiatives on which we have been working together with the Colombian government in order to contribute to the country's resilient and sustainable recovery after such dramatic consequences left by the COVID-19. Since July 4th last year, we initiated this project called Companies for Vaccination. We believe there had to be a commitment from the private sector to help the national government work in specifically helping in all the vaccination process. This initiative included a lot of companies, more than 3,000 companies that were part of this project, where we have helped hand in hand with the government to help all the companies come back to work. Why do I mention this specific initiative? Because as you might know, and it's not only a thing about Colombia, but the whole region had problems with employment. And we believe that this vaccination was critical in order to improve in this specific issue. We have other initiatives because, as I mentioned, it's not only Colombia that has been facing employment problems, but also countries that, hand in hand from the Pacific Alliance, have been working together. And I would like to mention two initiatives that didn't start specifically as part of the recovery, but during this time and taking into advantage this virtuality, we were able to increase the opportunities for students to have their first opportunity within the first opportunity for jobs within the countries of the Pacific Alliance. We were able to increase to a number of 300 companies with this virtuality. Also, with the Global Apprenticeship Network in Colombia, we established a coalition of companies, public entities, international organizations, and nonprofit entities, and obviously educational institutions, to work hand in hand to initiatives to create awareness, influence public policies, and approach the academic sector addressing the challenge of this talent gap and youth employment. The private sector recognizes the need to work hand in hand to face the country's challenges, such as the high fiscal burden and the economic and social consequences left by the pandemic. I would like to say something about the roadmap that we believe it's very concrete in the opportunities that are mentioned there for, as I said, new investors, but also the ones that are already established here. Areas of manufacturing, construction and infrastructure, creative industries, agriculture, agribusiness, energy, cosmetics, chemicals, and life sciences, information and communication technology services, financial services, healthcare, and tourism. I would also like to mention this chapter where we talk about the free trade zones. We believe that it's an excellent tool that we have been promoting for many years, and where many of the companies that are established in Colombia have taken advantage of all the incentives that are part of this specific tool. Just to end, I would like to mention that in Andy, you have a partner to consolidate, as I said, the companies that are already established, but new investors that want to be part of this set of opportunities that are mentioned in this investment roadmap. Thank you.
Good morning. First of all, in representation of the Colombian American Chamber of Commerce, AmCham Colombia, I would like to thank the U.S. Chamber of Commerce for the organization of this event. And I am pleased and honored to greet His Excellency Ambassador Juan Carlos Pinzon, Neil Harrington, Vice President of the Americas at the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, Flavia Santoro, President of ProColombia, and Paola Buendia, Executive Vice President of ANDI. Colombia has been an investment-friendly country to such an extent that there are more than 450 U.S. companies in the business sector in our country, representing more than 100,000 jobs, which by their nature are a source of good practices, knowledge transfer, and have been historically important in Colombia's technological and sustainable development. The COVID-19 pandemic has forced all nations, without exception, to generate differentiated strategies to attract new investments, and our country has managed to create them. A study by AmCham Colombia shows that opportunities have opened up for US investment in different sectors, mostly in intermediate products where US companies have significant knowledge of productivity. One of them is the nearshoring strategy, in which we have been supporting the national government and ProColombia since different companies from the US and other countries are considering investments in our country within the relocation process that is taking place in the world. In response to the new configuration of international trade that was already taking place during the trade war between the US and China, which was accelerated by the coronavirus pandemic and is tending to consolidate as part of the new geopolitical and sub-regional integration schemes. As of last year, this strategy led to more than 55 US, European, Asian, and Latin American companies announcing their intention to relocate to Colombia in order to take advantage of the benefits offered by our country. As recognized in a recent US State Department report on the investment climate, where Colombia is highlighted as an optimal destination for attracting capital. The report focused on the investment climate of 170 economies in the world. It indicates that in Latin America, Colombia is the third largest investment destination after Chile and Mexico. And in the case of Colombia, it points out the progress made in improving security within the metropolitan areas, the existence of a market of around 50 million people and an abundance of natural resources, along with a growing educated middle class. And very importantly, it stresses the free trade agreement between the two countries, which this year celebrates its 10th anniversary. It is evident that there are pending issues in areas such as regulation and intellectual property, and which this government has been working on and challenges to overcome. Hopefully very soon, at a time when international trade is seeking greater legal certainty and stability to minimize as much as possible the geopolitical and health risks faced by the world. According to a study by AmCham Colombia, among the sectors identified as having potential in the United States for attracting investment to Colombia are, among others, the 4.0 industries, agribusiness, manufacturing, chemical, life sciences, construction materials, and textiles. There are also other opportunities that stand out in auto parts, aerospace, high voltage electrical products, audiovisual production, sustainable presses and fabrics, dairy products, beef, and chicken. There is no doubt that Colombia is open to investment from the US and anywhere in the world, and has multiple business opportunities for different industries, as we know that they are also fundamental to promote job creation, sustainable development, and particularly in the current economic situation, to continue reactivation of our economy. For this reason, Colombia is always an open door to all entrepreneurs and investors, local and international, willing to choose our country as their destination for investment, trade, and tourism. Additionally, through different services, including actions with the government, Congress, points of view, as well as expansion strategies that we provide from AmCham Colombia. Interested companies can find us as an ally for their businesses. In AmCham Colombia, they can find a partner to strengthen their business and growth. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Paola and Samira, for your kind words. And again, I have to reiterate, the importance of partnerships and the collaborative approach that we've all taken to support, Colombia's investment attraction efforts. And your message just reinforces what the ambassador and Flavia mentioned earlier about the openness of the country and what Colombia as a country has done to become a more attractive destination for FDI. So really, I would like to commend Andy, AmCham Colombia, of course, ProColombia, and the Duque administration for everything that you've continued to do to make Colombia an attractive FDI destination. So with that being said, I think we've heard from Ambassador Pinzon, heard from ProColombia, heard from two great organizations. We will now hear from from a company, that's actually been able to invest, and use sort of the internationalization strategy that Colombia offers. Unfortunately, we've had some glitches with technology. I mean, in this space, it's hard to believe that still happens. So we'll only be able to hear from one company instead of the two that we had planned. But it is my distinct pleasure to introduce Juan Camilo Sierra, General Manager of Noel, who will talk to us about the company's internationalization strategy. Juan Camilo, thank you for joining us today, and the floor is yours.
Hello, can you listen me now? So good morning, and thank you very much for this meeting. My name is Juan Camilo Sierra. I have been working for Grupo Nutresa for 17 years, and mainly with Compañía de Galletas Noel as the International Business Director. Noel is a company that produces cookies and crackers here in Colombia. And Grupo Nutresa has different categories and business units, such as coffee, chocolate, pasta, and so on. Speaking about Noel, Noel was established in 1916 in Medellin, and currently we are exporting to 57 countries. But the most important thing is 20% of our total sales are coming from the U.S. market. We also have a factory in Costa Rica. The name of that company is Pozuelo. We made that acquisition in 2004, and we are also exporting from Costa Rica to United States. Noel started exporting to US in 1977, and today is really the biggest market for us. In 2004, Grupo Nutresa opened its own distribution company. The name of the company is Colombia-U.S. and became a national platform dedicated to the distribution products from Colombia, from Mexico, from Costa Rica, and also from Peru. Colombia-U.S. is located in Houston, Texas, and has also office in California, in New Jersey, in Maryland, and also in Florida. In order to continue growing in this important market, Grupo Nutresa acquired Avimar Foods in 2010. Avimar is a company located in Abilene, Texas. At the beginning, that factory used to produce only sweet cookies for the groceries and for the dollar stores. But we increased our production in 2015. We put a new line for crackers with an investment around $40 million at that time. After that, in 2019, Grupo Nutresa also acquired Cameron's Coffee, a Minnesota-based company specialized in the production and the distribution of premium coffee in that market. At the end of 2021, Grupo Nutresa reached sales close to $400 million in the U.S. market. As you can see, it is a good number with a very good growth year by year, but it's still very small for the size of the market. So United States will be very important for us and for Grupo Nutresa. We are one of the companies from Colombia which has been investing in the United States, and we will continue in this direction. We believe the U.S. market has a big potential for our categories, and we will continue focus on that. I believe that if we continue working together, we can develop a very good opportunities in this important market. Thank you very much for this space and for all the support for many years. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Juan Camilo, and really thank you for sharing the company's journey both in the U.S. and Colombia. And I think it's what you just described is a great example of the strong bonds between the U.S. and Colombia and what the private sector continues to do. So we look forward to working with you and working with other companies, of course, with the members of the U.S. Colombia Business Council to continue to expand investment and trade opportunities in Colombia. On behalf of the U.S. Colombia Business Council, I would like to thank you all for joining us today for the launch of the Colombia-U.S. Investment Roadmap. as I mentioned earlier, you should have received the link of the full report via the chat feature. We'll also email you the link on a separate email with the video recording just for your review and your records. We encourage you to review the report and reach out to the ProColombia team if you have any questions. Special message of gratitude to ProColombia, Andy, and AmCham Colombia, again, for the partnership. We look forward to continue working with you to strengthen the commercial bond between the two countries. Also, a special thank you to Ambassador Pinzon and his team at the Embassy of Colombia here in Washington, D.C. We at the U.S. Colombia Business Council are committed to building a stronger bilateral commercial partnership between the U.S. and Colombia, and we'll continue to promote policies that contribute to increased trade, investment, and sustainable and inclusive growth. I invite you all to stay engaged, invest, and continue to support this important bilateral relationship. Thank you again for joining us today. Please stay tuned for upcoming events. Have a wonderful day.